Hi.
Hello,
Hello, Gustavo. Nice to meet you. I'm Jillian.
you're Jillian?
Yes.
Hi. You're who I have gone back and forth with.
Yes. Yep.
Nice to meet you, Jillian.
Hello, Ray. Hello, David.
Nice to see you.
So, Maria said that she will be late today by about 15 minutes, and Director Gray is not going to be able to attend. And I believe that means we need someone else to chair the meeting, but we don't have a co-chair, or we've never nominated one. Lisa, do we need to nominate one, or can a panelist just take that on?
Am I muted? No, okay. I think you can just decide, as long as the majority of the panel agrees on a volunteer for the co-chair, there's really no risk. Or for the chair of this specific meeting, you don't need to officially make it the person a co-chair in a broader sense.
Okay, so we can just have someone volunteer to run the okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any volunteers? And I can walk you through all the steps for anyone who.
I'm happy to do it.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. Okay. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is call the meeting to order and do a roll call vote, or roll call, vote.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. And let's see, Jillian, can you call out the names of the panelists?
Yes.
To make sure I don't miss anyone.
Absolutely. Let me get my roll call sheet out. Okay. Terralyn Gray is absent. Ray Crisatello.
Hi, here.
Maria Salinas is absent, but will be joining us later.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here? Oh, I'm sorry.
Just
my
came on.
Okay, great. Okay, Maria Salinas is here. Jessica Pitt.
Here.
And that's it. Oh, and then Gustavo, well, I'm missing your last name. Gustavo Medina.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. The next thing we need to do is approve the agenda.
Okay. Did everyone have a chance to see the agenda? It was just sent out this afternoon, I believe.
Actually, I couldn't click on it on the link.
Let me email it to you right now.
Thank you.
I also couldn't see it.
Okay, I'll send it to you as well.
Or do you want to share your screen? Can you do that for a minute, Jillian?
Yes,
so everyone could just see it. That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send this to just so they have it. But yes, let me share.
If you can enable screen sharing for all of us when you have a chance.
Yes, absolutely. Right, here's our agenda.
Great, thank you. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting?
So moved.
Do you have a second? Can I second it, Jillian or Lisa?
Sorry, I was saying second, but didn't realize I was muted.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, great. Good. We're good. All right. So we have a second, moved by Maria, seconded by Ray. And let's now move to approval of the March meeting minutes.
I think we need to then vote.
Oh, okay.
So I can do
the agenda.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you.
So I'll say everyone's names and then just say aye or no, nay. Tara Lynn Gray, absent. Ray Crisatello,
Aye.
Maria Salinas,
Aye.
Jessica Pitt,
Aye.
and Gustavo Medina.
Aye.
Great, our agenda has been approved, and now moving on to approving the March meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review them?
Yes, and I will move approval.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ray.
Okay. Tara Lynn Gray, absent. Ray Crisatello,
Aye.
Maria Salinas,
Aye.
Jessica Pitt,
I'm going to abstain. I missed that meeting.
and Gustavo Medina.
I wasn't here, so I'm inclined to abstain. Do we need a majority?
We do, but I suppose we could vote next meeting when Tara Lynn Gray is here. Lisa, will you weigh in on that?
Yeah, I mean, there are two options. You could just wait and have a vote of the majority, or if somebody feels comfortable voting in favor of the minutes, even though you aren't necessarily in the best place to personally understand whether they accurately reflect the meeting minutes. That's pretty low risk too.
Okay.
Either
Well,
way,
if that's the case, then I can be a yay and we can just cross this off our agenda.
Okay.
And
I
Gustavo,
was
you
gonna
can
offer the same
abstain.
thing, but okay.
Okay.
We're
So-
covered.
Okay, so we'll say Jessica Pitt, yay, and Gustavo Medina, yay, just for the notes.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And
And then
then
our
going
next
Back
agenda.
to the agenda. We are ready for our study update discussion, and I think we turn it over to David Levine for that.
Yes, let me stop sharing and give permission to David.
I don't know if I stopped it by accident.
Can I ask a question? And again, it's, just seeing the slides, a little hard to sort of digest it. But it seemed like the recommendations around education and outreach were primarily focused on workers, if I read that right. Whereas what I know about cooperative conversions is they happen by owners, and they're often small business owners who are at some inflection point in their business or their own life that leads them to decide that there's some value in turning their business into a worker-owned cooperative. So I'm just curious around that balance of kind of worker outreach and education versus owner, and particularly small business owner outreach and education.
I think for the small business education, I very much was focused on, for the conversions, it's very much focused first on the small business owners. They have to know that selling to workers is an option. And the idea is to have this chatbot that helps you decide if this is an option. And then, as Ray was emphasizing, it has to be beneficial for the business owner selling, for whoever's lending money, and for the new employee owners. We don't want the bank and the seller to come out ahead and the employee owners to come out behind. So there currently you work with a consultant or one of the networks I'd mentioned, and they help you decide, is this plausibly going to work? And if so, to shape in more detail what the loan would look like, what the deal looks like, what the loan looks like. So this is very much focused on small business owners, but when the system creates the spreadsheet, either with a consultant or with the artificial intelligence, it has to be a win for all the important stakeholders, or it shouldn't be recommending that route. there definitely are ways for employee owners to end up with a bunch of bad debt. I don't think that's specific to ESOP. ESOP just means there's some tax benefits involved, but it's, yeah, it's easy to a generation ago, Britain was famous for lemon socialism, and the government took over all the failing businesses, and lemon co-ops or lemon ESOPs is not going to be an improvement. So these are all good questions. Do you want me to flip through the slides more a little bit so you can find your questions more slowly? Because I did go through them pretty fast.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of information, and again, just sort of echoing what Maria said, if we could get a written summary or actually see the whole report, ideally, to be able to provide comments that way, I think you'll get the most robust comments out of the panel.
Yeah.
Is that possible, even like a summary of some kind?
Yeah. And as I said, as best I understand the law, the report due this week that may not be for a few weeks is going to be called final, but I consider it final enough to show you. And
for the law purposes, the final will be the final that the panel votes on. So that if you get a draft, it's not considered the final. So what will next be shared will be a draft. And that draft report ideally will be the comprehensive questions kind of cleanup asked, and then the case studies as well, so that you get those all together, because they all kind of at least when in my quick look through of them, they build on each other. And so I think that getting that all together would be helpful. I think I don't recall a timeline, so I apologize, but the next what you guys will see will be a draft that will then get comments on, and then there will be a final presented that you will have a final presentation on. We unfortunately often have reports that are due on a deadline, and they don't quite meet them because of a back and forth like this with the draft. And so we'll ideally get that. But that draft, to Lisa's point, will be public when it is shared with the full panel, because you'll be discussing it in a meeting and sharing your comments in that meeting. So, but I think it's in a place that a draft would be, once some of those comments, cleaning up some of the questions we had from a staff perspective, to provide the most clarity for the panel would be the next step that you guys will see. So I think maybe it's just David and Jillian confirming the timeline of when we expect that kind of cleanup to happen, and then that you guys will get that comprehensive draft. I would say the draft we saw was, I think, about 200 pages. So we want to make sure we get, and a lot of that is case study, but we want to make sure you guys have enough time to review all of that as well, because it's really interesting, but a lot of information. And so I think maybe Jillian, we could just talk about that timeline for the panel.
Sure. So right now the study team is slowly sending us over revised portions of the study report, and they are slowly going through the staff for review. And once we complete the staff review, then we will pass that along to you, the panel. I'm not sure if David, if you have an update on when you think you'll finish sending over the study materials, but I think the hope is that by our next scheduled meeting on July, I believe it's the 24th, that you will be reviewing the study, the draft report.
Okay, so you think that by the July meeting, we will have had the draft report in advance so that we could provide comments at that meeting? Is that
that is the hope.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
but it is a lot, like Jackie said, it is a lot. And so, yeah, so I'm hoping to get it to you with plenty of time. I'm hoping.
And our July meeting is set for,
I believe it's the 24th. Let's see. The 23rd.
oh yeah, the 23rd. Okay. So are you shooting for like the week before, 2 weeks before? What do you think would be reasonable for us to expect it?
So we have to post it publicly by the 13th. 10 days is tight. So, I mean, it's tight in all ways. So I'm hoping to get it to you before that. I'd like to give you guys as much time as possible. So it really just kind of depends on how quickly we can get through, how quickly the study team can finish incorporating our comments, and how quickly we can do our second review to make sure the comments were incorporated.
But this will be a draft. Oh, we'll be getting a draft report. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Ideally, in this timeline, you'll see a draft that you can review, have time to review, comment on in the July meeting. And then that would give the team time to take your comments. And if, depending on how substantive they are, right, then hopefully in the August meeting, we'd be able to finalize a final draft. If not, we could look at a September meeting if that's going to take a little bit more time, depending on how substantive it is, and obviously depending on the panel's willingness to continue to finalize that a little bit longer. So, but hopefully it's in a place that the comments will be substantive and but have also a quick turnaround and not too extensive there.
Can we call on the project manager, Doug Hirsch?
Yes, David, I'm gonna take back the hosting privileges, and then I can give him opportunity to speak. Okay, Doug, you can go ahead and speak.
Hi. We've been working through our review schedule, and I do not believe that we plan to provide a draft to you and staff for further feedback, which we really need from you before the report is ready for the panel. And we're going to need time to address your feedback with a final revision before it's ready for the panel review and public review. So I don't see a way that that's going to be able to happen in time for public distribution for the July 23rd meeting. We ought to set the expectation that that will be ready for the August meeting. That will give us time for staff and us to review and revise and get it up to Jackie's standards so that it really is ready for the panel.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can discuss that, but we've already provided our feedback, so that the draft that you're submitting back to us right now should ideally have incorporated our feedback, correct?
That is not correct.
Okay. Can you
Well,
talk about that?
we've done pretty substantial rewriting, and so we have worked hard to incorporate everything, but it's just you guys gave a lot of really helpful feedback, and if we missed any, we want to, or if we've introduced new concerns, and sometimes we addressed your concerns, we think, but we want to make sure you agree. So we appreciate whoever read it so carefully. We would love for them to read it again.
I'm particularly concerned because we had a meeting with Jackie last week when she stepped in for Jennifer, that that her concerns are addressed, because the feedback that we got was when Jennifer was leading it. And so it was new information that was very salient to make sure that we're really addressing the panel's needs. And we need time to interact with Jackie and make sure that we've addressed the concerns and got it to the point where the department is going to be happy with it and feel good about sharing it with the panel and the public before we declare victory.
Yeah, I believe Jen had incorporated Jackie's feedback in the first round that we submitted to you.
I think, and then the conversation, I think, just was hopefully to provide some clarity. So from the panel's perspective, to provide some clarity. So I would say, you know, when, as a broad example, when we talk about licensing or as a feedback in the, you know, coming out of something that may be helpful, from my perspective, from a government side, it was a question of, well, who do we anticipate that would do that licensing? We can keep it somewhat open-ended and say that that would need to be determined in kind of a policy making process. But we asked some questions around clarity of, you know, who do you think would be maybe a good fit, or where it would potentially fit in government, to make sure those details were also clear to the panel. I think sometimes from our perspective, we also just have the government lens. And so when you know, there's a comment about licensing, I immediately jump to, you know, who's going to do that. And so we wanted to make sure there was some clarity around whether or not that's a recommendation or a further discussion potential, that this is part of potentially like an iterative process, right? So the panel's the report for 2849 will align with the legislation and what is provided there. But then we also would include some feedback that would say where there might be some additional policy work that would need to be done in determining where the best place that would fit. And that would be kind of a next step that maybe is not directly with this panel and AB 2849, but would be a next step of implementing any of the feedback. Sorry, just wanted to give an example of kind of the back and forth that we had from kind of a staff perspective in looking at the draft that we received.
From a project management point of view, I think it's unrealistic to set an expectation for the panel to be able to review a report in the July meeting.
Yeah. Here's what I think we can do. A lot of the work is in the article part, the original research. And I'm happy to share that and get feedback. And then specific people on the panel I would love to review specific chapters because that's their expertise. As experts, not as panel members. And then we will send an executive summary for people before the July meeting, by July 13.
Can I ask from just a timing perspective, because again, recognizing that we're asking you guys to extend the panel participation, would it be more helpful to do, if I'm hearing from the research team that it'd be beneficial to have until the August meeting that is already scheduled to provide enough time for them to provide the updates and get you a clean draft to the panel? Is it more beneficial to just to not have a July meeting and then have that substantive meeting in August, instead of doing another update kind of with the executive summary in July? Just from a panel's perspective. I'm sorry, I also don't know if we have to like vote on it, but I think it sounds like that it might be more, if you're not going to get a substantive draft until an August meeting, would it be more beneficial for the panel to just rely on that meeting as our timeline?
That seems to make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. That works for us.
I don't think we necessarily need to vote on that, but as long as everyone agrees, I can just cancel the meeting as we've done in the past.
I would be in favor of that.
Okay, and what is the date of the August meeting, please?
Sure,
I
just
said on 27th.
27.
Okay, and we're still happy to send the supporting materials first because they're quite lengthy, and I'm not sure how many of you want to read all of them, but if any of you want to read parts of them, we would be grateful. And the actual report is shorter than the supporting research, so that'll be a breeze for you all. But obviously that's where we very much appreciate your feedback.
Okay, is there anything else anyone would like to discuss in this section before we move on to the next agenda item? Okay, hearing none. Jessica, will you open up the floor for panel members to request agenda items for future meetings?
Yes, I am now opening the floor for panel members to suggest agenda items for what will be, I guess, our August meeting, right? Any suggestions, recommendations? Okay, hearing none. Do we have public comment, Jillian?
So we can open it to public comment and then I will see if anyone raises their hands. We do have one question, so I'm going to open the floor to Michelle.
Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to know when today's meeting materials would be posted on the website.
Do you mean the recording and the meeting notes?
And the PowerPoint.
Yeah, so all of that will be posted once we finalize the recording and the meeting notes. So probably next week sometime.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Would you like me to send you an email when it's up? I could do that if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Okay.
And please send us feedback if you have comments from clarifications or substantive points or disagreements. We'd love to hear.
For Jillian, if anyone does send written feedback, it should be posted as well.
Okay, I'll make sure to do that.
Okay, it looks like we have, Michelle, do you still have your hand up with something else or?
And Michelle, I just
Okay.
sent you a chat asking for your email address. So if you just please put your email in the chat, I'll make sure to update you, send you an update.
Do we have any other public comment?
No, it doesn't look like it.
Okay, is that it, Jillian? You missing anything?
I think you need to officially adjourn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I move to adjourn the meeting. Can I have a second?
I will second.
Great. We have a second, so meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Jillian?
Yes.
Oh. Is this timing work out okay for you?
Yeah, I think that should be fine. As long as the panel agrees to it, it's no difference to me.
Okay. Yeah, I feel bad about well, the calendar is what it is. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for your many helpfulnesses in moving this along.
Yeah, of course. And thank you so much for your presentation today. It was very helpful. I'm excited to see the final. It was very interesting to read the draft. So
Okay. Thanks very much.
okay, thanks. Bye.